Welcome to the Mindset Mutiny Podcast. I am your host, Mike Ivanov. Join me as we challenge the status quo, break free from self-imposed limits, and redefine what's possible. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So if you tuned into the last episode, episode 6, you know we've already kicked off a deep dive into insecurities. We're going to be continuing that. So if you haven't heard episode 6, go back and catch it. So let's move on. As far as insecurities, we're going to talk about what they are, where they come from, and how they can take control of your life. Today, we're going to take it to the next level. I'm pulling back the curtain and getting personal. I'm going to walk you through my top 4 insecurities, the ones that have hit me the hardest and stopped me in my tracks many times. But more importantly, I'm going to share what I've done to fight them, break their grip, and come out stronger. This isn't just about me. It's about showing you that no matter how tough your insecurities are, they can be beaten. So let's get into it. Let's start with one of the most common areas of insecurity, but probably one of my favorites to discuss because it's affected me so much, and that is physical appearance. So this one hits hard because we live in a world obsessed with aesthetic. But for me, it hits even harder because it was one of my biggest insecurities for most of my life. Even as an athlete, I never really achieved the body that I truly wanted. So I know what it's like to feel uncomfortable in your clothes, constantly adjusting them, never actually feeling good in them. I also know what it's like to avoid looking in the mirror or seeing a picture of yourself. That would always make me feel absolutely deflated because it looked like shit. So I know that pain because I lived it every day. I let myself go. I got fat, I got comfortable, complacent, and soft. I avoided pictures, wore clothes that hopefully hid my body, and watched as my confidence slowly eroded. I stopped taking pride in my appearance and I gave up. I'll never forget the moment I stood in front of the mirror looking at my fat, balding self and thinking, well, this is what I have to look forward to for the rest of my life. Great. Didn't even recognize myself. And it made me sick. That was my breaking point. In that moment, 5 years ago, made a promise to myself, I have to kill that version of me. I had to bury him and never let him come back. Never again would I allow that mindset that got me to that condition ever exist again. And for the past 5 years, I've done exactly that. I've worked relentlessly to transform not just my body, but my entire mindset. And now I'm unrecognizable. I want that for you. I want you to feel that same sense of accomplishment that I have felt. I want you to experience the confidence that comes from taking control. I want you to know what it feels like to have full ownership of your mind, your body, and your spirit. I will be real with you. Society's beauty standards are a moving target, no matter what you do, but there will always be something new to fix. But the real battle isn't external. It's internal. You have to stop chasing perfection and start embracing who you are while working to become the best version of yourself. We can all build a better physique. It comes down to hard work, discipline, and a willingness to learn. It means taking ownership of what you put into your body, not eating to satisfy emotional cravings, but eating with a purpose for fuel, for health, for your physical well-being. When you realize that your physical appearance is something you have control over, everything changes. The process becomes simpler, not easy, but clear. Like anything else, it's about becoming a student of the game. With every decision you make that supports your goal, you'll get closer and you'll achieve the results you're after. But remember, it's you versus you. Comparing yourself to others is only going to hold you back. Focus on being 1% better every single day. That's how you win. So let's cut the crap. Working on your physical being isn't just about looking good or staying healthy. It's about waging war on your excuses and breaking the chains of comfort. It's about building discipline. It's about pushing through and learning to chase delayed gratification. Every time you show up, even when you're tired, sore, or just don't feel like it, you're proving to yourself that you're in control, not your doubts, not your fears, and definitely not your comfort zone. When you show up with that mindset, you start to destroy insecurities. Insecurity thrives on inaction, self-pity, and excuses. But every time you push through, every time you commit to the grind, you're telling those insecurities to sit down and shut up. You're not just building a body. You're forging an unbreakable mind, a relentless spirit, and a level of self-respect that no insecurity can survive. The physical progress, that's just a byproduct. The real fight is in your head. And every time you show up, you're proving that nothing, not pain, not fear, not insecurity, nothing will own you. Next up for me is financial stability. That has also been a crippling one for me. So let's get into it. Job security, debt, savings, these are all the things that keep you up at night. The fear of not having enough, of losing what you've built, or failing to provide financial stability for your family can be paralyzing. Maybe you're constantly worried about losing your job or feeling stuck in a dead-end role. Maybe you're drowning in student loans, struggling to save for retirement, or feeling the pressure to keep up with others who seem to have it all figured out. I've always felt like that. These insecurities can create a sense of financial suffocation, making you feel like no matter how hard you work, you're always on the edge of disaster. It took me a long time to understand this, but your financial issues are the sum of your decisions. Trust me, I know firsthand. When my finances were a mess, I tried to blame everyone. Bad luck, the system, you name it. But at the end of the day, none of those excuses I made fixed anything. It wasn't until I looked in the mirror and admitted that it was me. Let me get real with you for a minute here. I've sat at my kitchen table, head in my hands, tears streaming down my face, completely crushed by the weight of my financial mistakes. It wasn't just stress, it was suffocating. Like relentless dread that followed me around every second of every day. I could feel my chest tighten, my stomach would be in knots, and I'd sit there just feeling sick to my core. Like I was absolutely drowning with no way out. I remember staring at the stacks of bills, the bank statements, and an empty bank account, trying to figure out how I'd let it get so bad. The numbers just didn't seem possible. Anyway, it felt like these mistakes were laughing at me, mocking every stupid decision I'd made. And trust me, I had made plenty of them. I spent money I didn't have on shit I didn't need. And then I convinced myself it would somehow make me feel better. But it didn't. There were nights I couldn't sleep, mornings I didn't want to get out of bed, and days where the weight of my financial mess felt like it was going to fucking crush me. I put on a brave face for the world, but inside I was breaking. I was trapped in a cycle of guilt, shame, and hopelessness. convinced that this was how my life would be. A constant battle against a mountain that I'd never climbed. But I can tell you the exact moment it all changed. Sitting there, broken and overwhelmed, I made a decision. I decided to finally take some fucking ownership. I decided that no matter how dark things were, no matter how deep the hole I dug myself into was, I'm going to climb out. That moment was brutal. It wasn't, a burst of motivation or sudden flash of hope. It was raw, it was desperate, and it was cold. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I knew I had to. I knew I had to stop playing the victim, stop blaming the world, and start taking responsibility for every choice, every dollar, and every mistake. I had to change the story. And from that moment on, I fought. I fought for every inch of progress, clawing my way out of that financial hellhole. It wasn't easy. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. But that decision, that dark, gut-wrenching moment of ownership, that shit saved me. The pain of staying the same was worse than the pain to change. I've finally realized that if you don't control your money will control you. Financial stability is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. You will not fix everything overnight. That's okay. But you've got to start by owning your situation. Budget, plan, educate yourself about money. Stop spending impulsively and start assigning a purpose to every dollar you earn. The more informed and proactive you are, the less power these insecurities will have over you. With no plan, you plan to fail. But with a clear strategy and discipline, you'll begin to feel the weight of that financial insecurity lift. And here's the bottom line. You can't build wealth on a foundation of excuses. So own your decisions, or they will own you. Number 3, social acceptance. Another major source of insecurity. Humans are social creatures and they need to belong to something. It's hardwired into us. But this can get toxic very quickly because you start basing your self-worth on what other people think. Fear of exclusion, anxiety about public speaking, constant pressure to maintain a social media persona can weigh you down. You start curating every detail of your life, chasing likes, validation, acceptance, hoping that if enough people approve of you, you'll finally feel worthy. Social acceptance is fleeting. You'll never please everybody, and you don't need to. Who really gives a fuck what people think? Well, I did, and sometimes I still do. Sometimes I run from the fact that I care what people think. I don't want to admit that, but it's all right. I'm aware of it, and I'm working on it every single day. If you're accepted or not, it doesn't change your value. So stop handing over the keys to your confidence and self-worth to others. And here's something that you need to burn into your head. You will never, ever meet a hater who's doing better than you. Remember that. The people throwing shade, doubting your mission, or criticizing your every move, they're projecting their own insecurities because they can't handle the fact you're doing something they're too scared to even attempt. Why would you waste your energy fighting to belong to a group of people who don't accept you? People who don't accept you suck. Plain and simple. You're better off without them. Not everyone will understand the mission you're on, and that's fine. They don't have to. Your mission isn't for them. Never ever fight to belong. Instead, march to the beat of your own drum. Carve your own path and stay true to who you are. Because at the end of the day, that's what fucking matters. Self-acceptance is the foundation of real confidence. And when you own who you are, no one's opinion can shake you. Number 4, relationships. Relationships are another insecurity for many of us, whether it's romantic, platonic, or family. Insecurities in relationships can be some of the most painful and deeply rooted. Maybe you feel rejection, or you feel unworthy of love, or worry that you're not good enough friend or family member. These insecurities can show up in different ways. Overcompensating by doing too much, constantly seeking approval, or falling into the trap of being a people pleaser. On the flip side, they can make you withdraw, shut down emotionally, and avoid intimacy altogether because you're too afraid of getting hurt. But here's the deal. Healthy relationships start with a healthy relationship with yourself. If you're constantly doubting your worth, that insecurity is going to bleed into your connections with others. You'll either expect them to reassure you all the time, or you'll sabotage the relationship before it even has a chance to grow. That's why the work, begins with you. You've got to invest in yourself first. And as you do, you'll see your relationships transform. You get what you put into a relationship. Relationships aren't meant to be easy. They're hard work. They require effort, patience, and yes, they require those hard conversations we've talked about before. If you're feeling insecure in a relationship, you can't just sit back and hope things improve on their own. You need to put in the work. That means listening, really listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. It means being willing to open up and show vulnerability. It also means investing time and energy into that connection. Relationships thrive when both people are committed to growth, not one person or the other always trying to prove they're right. It's not about winning arguments. It's about understanding each other and building trust. When you enter a relationship, do it with trust, love, and a genuine appreciation for the other person's time and energy. Stop keeping fight or fighting for control. The strongest relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and shared effort. And here's the key. When you do that, you'll see your insecurities about relationships start to evaporate. The need to constantly seek validation or the fear of rejection will fade when you're grounded in trust and mutual commitment. Suddenly, the weight of those doubts and fears lifts, and you're left with a connection that's real, supportive, unshakable, and genuine. Remember, relationships are mirrors. They reflect the work you've done in yourself and the energy you bring to the table. The more you show up, the more you'll get in return. So if you want a deep, meaningful connection with people, start by putting in the work, both on yourself and within those relationships. There are many more insecurities that we face. However, in the interest of your time, I've only highlighted my top 4, and I hope they've been helpful. But now that we've identified some of these insecurities and how they manifest, it's time to do the work. Make no mistake, this is hard, uncomfortable work. But the freedom, the confidence, the deep love for yourself can't be beat. So let's break it down into some actual steps. Number 1, challenge the narrative. Every insecurity is built on a story, a belief you've accepted as truth. But ask yourself, is this story true? More often than not, it's not. It's a distorted perception. For example, if you believe I'm not smart enough, ask yourself, who told you that? What evidence do I have to support that? Challenge it. Replace it with a more empowering belief. I'm constantly learning and improving. 2, take action despite fear. Insecurities want to keep you in your comfort zone. The only way to break free is to step out of it. Feel the fear and act anyway. If you're insecure about public speaking, volunteer for a presentation. Get in front of some people and let it rip. If you doubt your fitness level, join that class. Every time you face an insecurity, you weaken its grip. Number 3, focus on progress, not perfection. Perfectionism is often a mask for insecurity. You're so afraid of failing that you never even try it. You never even get started. I can assure you, progress, no matter how small, is what matters. Celebrate your wins, however minor they may seem. Remember, lots of small wins stack up to big ones. However, you will never see a big win if you don't go stack some small ones. Number 4, surround yourself with the right people. The people around you can either fuel your insecurities or help you overcome them. So choose wisely. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, uplift you, push you to your limits, and make you think differently. Lastly, and you won't like to hear this, but you may need to fire some people in your friend group. Don't feel bad. Not everyone will join you on your mission to become better. This is the cost of becoming something more. Take ownership. Here's where we get real. At the end of the day, your insecurities are your responsibility. It's easy to blame others, parents, partners, society, but that won't fix anything. I want to show you how to fix it. The only true way to overcome insecurities is to take ownership of them. This means acknowledging that while you may not be responsible for your insecurities, you are 100% responsible for how you deal with them now. Because it puts that power back in your hands. You can choose to keep hiding behind those insecurities, or you can choose to confront them. You can let them dictate your life, or you can take control. The choice is yours. So stop fearing the failure. Stop worrying. Start embracing it. If you're not failing, you're not pushing hard enough. Failure isn't like the opposite of success. It's the path to it. So this is where we draw the line. Insecurities will always be there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But here's how that works. They only win if you let them. The choice is black or white. You can either keep hiding behind them, letting them dictate your actions and control your future, or you can step up, look them dead in the eye, and rip your power back. This isn't about self-improvement. This is about survival. It's about reclaiming your life from the grip of fear and doubt. Every excuse you've made, every opportunity you've let slip, every time you played small because of insecurity, that ends today. You've got what it takes to rise above it. But let me be clear. It's going to take action. You have to act. Stop waiting for permission. Stop chasing perfection. Embrace the grind, face the discomfort, and lean into the fear. Your insecurities are not facts. They're lies. They're challenges begging to be crushed, and crushing them is the only way forward. So ask yourself right now, are you going to keep running, or will you rise? The battlefield is in your mind, and the war is yours to win. Take control. No more excuses. No more waiting. It's time to act. It's time to rise. Because if you don't, those insecurities will fucking bury you.